All right. Hello. Welcome. 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 I'm like simultaneously trying to do a bunch of stuff at the same time, but it is day 18, and starting to feel normal. It's starting to feel normal. So, tonight I'm gonna try to keep it simple. I did pretty good yesterday with just like sticking to my reading for about an hour, and then I don't know. Did I go to bed last night? I tried to like catch up on the state of. I was about to say it's the state of play. It wasn't the state of play, but it was the PlayStation showcase last night or yesterday anyway. And I missed it, or I missed like part of it during the day. So I tried to catch up on it a little bit. But I just watched a couple of the like trailers I actually cared about, and then I went to bed. So tonight I'm gonna try to turn in a little bit early, just so again I'm trying to reserve my energy because it's been a long day. Also, we did a live stream recording of our AI podcast that was this week, because the fourth Thursday of the month is when we do our Train Next show. So we did our recording earlier today, so I know a couple people actually caught that live. So yeah, technically I did have a stream earlier, but that does not count for my 100 days of code, of course. So we are back, and yeah, I believe where I left off yesterday, I was pretty much moving into. I did want to kind of see this example through to the end, where they were showing us in the lesson 2 notebook how we could build a small web app into our actual Python notebook. But in reality, because again, I think they're specifically calling out the fact that not a lot of folks that are more into data science and AI or machine learning actually have web app experience, but I do have a tremendous amount of web app experience. So I do think this is nice just to see how it works, but I'm just going to go through this example just so I can, like I said, see it through to the end, and then I'm actually hopping back into doing some model deployment through Hugging Face Spaces, because I like using the Gradio interface and being able to, have that deployed and live, which was something that was convenient because earlier today when we were having our podcast, we were doing kind of like a show and tell of what we've been learning this month, and I was able to quickly show, here's the model, show it running and everything from the example that we trained earlier in the week. So I'm going to stick to that. And I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's the holiday weekend. I mean, it's not like I get any stream days off. I'm not taking no days off, y'all. I'm doing my best to go go for my 100-day streak. Um, you know, and we'll see, but it's still kind of early. It's still so early, so I'm just pushing forward, but it's starting to feel less daunting. I don't know, something about like 17, 18, 19. It's not so small. It's not like a 2 week, 3 week thing, but probably, like I said, once I start hitting around the 2025 mark, that feels like an accomplishment for me. And then once I start hitting around the 50-day mark, that starts feeling like, okay, now we're counting down the days moving forward instead of counting up. So, um, I want to finish this up today. And what is chapter 3 about? I think lesson 3 is oh, is this is the course. This caught me off guard. Neural net foundations. For some reason, I was expecting to see like ethics in AI right here, but that's not lesson 3. Isn't is Lesson 3 of the course is not focused on ethics, but I think lesson 3 of the book is. So, good foundations though to have. So, yeah, I'm trying my best to track with like one lesson a week because that's how the course was originally designed and run. But I'm not putting too much excessive pressure on myself because I am trying to take my time and really understand what's going on. Um, and it's not like I'm I still have the live stream to run as well, so that's just an extra little layer of it. But anyways, I will hopefully be getting into this lesson soon, and yeah, we have a couple projects to work on, so I will try my best to get some rest in this weekend. But 100 days must go on. So what I'm gonna do, as always, is get my log going. I have officially beat my streak on the number of logs I finished compared to my 2021 um, stream series. So I feel good about that. That's something. It's all about progress. All about progress. Okay, what am I trying to do in my life right now? I want to go to recent. This is exactly why I'm about to go to bed, because I can feel like my brain is a little bit fried. And I'm one of those people where it's like, no matter what's going on, like even if I'm exhausted, I will still try to push through studying or whatever, because that's just how I am. But, it doesn't necessarily contribute to long-term mental health and stability. So I have to keep that in mind. Let's see. Okay. So yesterday, okay, so I said yesterday that I would be looking into how to export the model from Collabs. And I did successfully export the model from Collabs yesterday. If I'm not mistaken, we should have a model here in our files. Boo. I have to re-export it? What the heck? Okay, that sucks. Wait, did I download it? Did I download it? That is a very important question. I do not want to do that again. Not that it's a big deal. It trained in less than 15 minutes, I think. Oh, okay. Luckily, I did download that model yesterday. Okay, perfect. So I don't have to retrain that one. So if I do want to try to get that example up, then yeah, I can do that. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll say for yesterday's progress, I was able to get the model exported and downloaded from Collabs. All right, so that's that. And then I really, I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, day 18. I'm gonna say finishing. I feel pretty good that I can finish that tonight. Um, okay, and then yeah, I'll do my progress later. So let's just get that Acmet. I'm gonna start using some different some alternate like get commands, because I'm like I use a lot of the same commands over and over again, And I know some of the stuff I do is redundant, but I'm just so used to doing it that way that it's just like it doesn't even feel like a long process to me. But like, for example, pretty sure instead of doing a get add and then a get commit dash m, I should be able to do a get add. I think it's a get add am, get add dash am, and then give my commit message, and it should add my file. So it's something like that. I haven't, so I know there's other combinations of get commands I could be a little bit better about. So I'll probably start trying to do that a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. Since this long weekend is coming up, it's kind of weird because it's like I feel like I have the weekend off, but I've been having the weekends off for a minute. I haven't been teaching on the weekends or anything. I haven't been teaching recently, so it doesn't feel as special, quote unquote. But I feel like it would be a good weekend to rip the band-aid off and just push through redoing this setup, which I talk about like almost every single day of my life right now. And I'm so over it. I'm so over it. I'm just ready for my upgrade. So I do have some new stuff. Like I have a brand new desk. I have a standing desk like with the little motor on it and everything. So I want to do that, and I will honestly say some of my hesitation with getting some videos recorded is I kind of I shouldn't be too tied to it, but I don't know, something about live streaming got me really into like designing my set, even now I mean this little backdrop thing is cute, but I'm used to having like a full, all my setup in the background and just kind of like really playing around with it, showing off my personality and whatnot. So I feel that way about the videos. So I've been, just wanting to have because I know how I want my setup to look. And I want to film from like an angle where like the computer stuff in the background whenever I do like talking head videos or whatever, or I might even stand. So yeah, I'm like, maybe now, this weekend I can rip the band-aid off. It'll be a long weekend. And get everything set up, and then even get some of my music equipment set up as well. PC, just like got a brand new PlayStation like that's still sitting there looking at me. So I just want to get all of that together. So yeah. And I'm gonna have to do a GPU upgrade on my PC, which may or may not also mean that I'm gonna have to update my I don't know if I'm gonna have to upgrade my motherboard. I mean, I do need to replace my motherboard anyway because it has damage to some of the ports. But I'm like, I don't know anything about building PCs, and I bought mine the way it was configured. So that's something I'm gonna be getting some help on, because I can already tell. Like I've been playing GTA a little bit on my PC recently, like the last couple of days, and I can definitely tell that it's a little bit of a struggle. It's a little bit of a struggle. Like I'm starting to have rendering issues, and I don't know, maybe there's some things I can do to tune up my system, because I never actually did anything to, that's related to the game performance. So maybe there's some work I could do there, but otherwise, yeah, I think I got this computer in 2018. So it was a good graphics card at the time, but it's not like it was like the top tier anyway. And now it's been quite some time. So it's about that time to upgrade. So I'm gonna have to reach out to people and see, because like I said, I don't know nothing about building PCs. So that's something that I will be learning more about. But from what I can tell, at the very least, I need to redo. I need to get an updated motherboard, and I want a new graphics card. So I don't, I don't, I have started to look into it a little bit. I will say that I have started to like kind of research. All right, so let's see. I looked at all this stuff yesterday. They were okay. We'll read this part about turning this into an app and then deploying it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna read this material and oh yeah, I forgot we have to write a blog for our homework. So that should be good for me. I still haven't figured out what I want to do about my blog platform, man. That's like stressing me out. But I was thinking about building an RSS feed, which is kind of, I don't know. I'm like toying on the between like am I doing too much, or is that the right fit for me? Because I'm trying to do something really custom with the like how I'm structuring everything, all the different content and materials that I'm making. And I already was looking into doing a custom RSS feed for the actual podcast, so that I can string the individual shows into um, one longer show that I can control the ordering of. So since I've been thinking about that for the podcasts, um, I started to consider it for the just as a data source for my blog as well, because I want to own my own content, you know what I mean? And I don't really want to be publishing my blogs on like another platform natively. I will repost there, and then that was another reason why I thought about an RSS feed, because I know like most sites, if they're blog related or CMS related, they have some type of support for RSS feeds, even if they're audio feeds or if they're like, content feeds like text feeds. So I think it would be a cool little project to do, not gonna lie. I just don't want to get too distracted. So I think that's one of the big things on my plate right now. It shouldn't be too bad though, because I did do a little bit of research on it earlier in the week, and I figured out like I should be able to just create my RSS feed and host it, and then from there I can use I can build a web app around it, or I can use another platform or something, a framework that can render the RSS feed into like some type of CMS, headless. I don't know, maybe because I feel like whenever you see like the headless CMS process, um, and then those integrate with some type of UI, I'm not sure if any of those UIs is capable of ingesting RSS and processing it, but I mean, I don't see why not. So we shall see. We shall see. All right. So let's go for here. Skip this. Let's go for a round, 2 rounds, and then I'm out. All right, so where did I leave off on my notes yesterday? Wrong notes. Okay, so although you need a GPU to train most deep learning models, you don't really need one to use the model in production. That's good to know. I do feel like a little bit more about the computer architecture will be very beneficial to me. So I'm gonna see like how much of that do they talk about throughout the book, and then maybe later on I'll kind of fill the gaps on, if there's more things I feel like I should understand, because I'm not really a big hardware person. My business partner, Mac, who also runs like the Train X show and the Hacking with the Homie show with me. Now, whenever we have whenever we talk about Train X, or whenever we do like our AI, conversations, he's more likely to talk about like hardware and like infrastructure and stuff like that. So I usually look to him for like uh you know digging into those details. But I don't feel like I can excuse me, I don't feel like I can confidently talk to like how a CPU and GPU plays into training the way I would like to. So I don't necessarily have to be an expert, but I do feel like that it's important to understand a little bit more about, for me personally. Okay, so they had said GPUs are only useful when they do lots of identical work in parallel. Um, it's a couple things that made me think about I just started like zoning out a little bit because I was thinking about a couple things. But so when they talked about doing identical work in parallel, one thing that I already learned about is that um, when you use the fast AI library and you apply transforms to your data, like we saw item transforms and batch transforms. Now the thing was, the batch transforms are processed by the GPU. The item transforms, I would assume that are processed by the CPU. So, but it makes sense when they say this, right? If GPUs are useful when doing like identical work in parallel, that makes sense why the batch transform process, because again, difference between batch and item transforms is item is going to apply a data transform to every individual item in the data set. Batch transforms are going to apply, those transforms across a group of items at the same time. So that makes sense. But and then it makes me think about the deep learning model, which again, like it's like some of this stuff I'm rusty on, because it's not like it's super new information to me, but it's just been a while since I thought about it. Because I was saying earlier, like, how come when we were in our training, I don't know if I can even see it now. I should be able to see the output from the last run, right? Here it is. So when we were watching these train, this epoch, which is this is the training run that's going to fit our data to um, the pre-trained model, and then these other epochs are actually training our specific classifications on our model. But these were running in parallel, right? And I thought about it like I'm pretty sure the visual that comes to hit to my mind is you have multiple features feeding into the system. But I guess that might be more of a parallel process than I've been thinking about. So it'll be interesting just to kind of dig deeper there. All right, so as we've seen, GPUs. If you're saying, oh, if you're doing image classification, you'll normally be classifying just one user's image at a time. And there isn't normally enough work to do in a single image to keep a GPU busy for long enough. For long enough for it to be very efficient. So a CPU will often be more cost effective. Okay, makes sense. An alternative could be to wait for a few users to submit their images and then batch them and process them all at once on a GPU. But then you're asking your users to wait rather than getting answers straight away. You need a high volume site for this to be workable. Okay, well, that's out of the scope of what we care about right now, but good to know. The complexities of dealing with GPU inference are significant. In particular, the GPU's memory will need careful manual management, and you'll need a careful queuing system to ensure you only process one batch at a time. There's a lot more market competition in CPU than GPU servers. As a result, there are much cheaper options available for CPU servers. Okay, so so all in all, basically, when you are deploying your system, although we would go for GPUs when it comes to the training side of things, that is not at all even necessary or efficient or effective for the actual deployment system. So um, yeah, even in that little bit of blurb, I feel like that's useful information that kind of helps me expand my knowledge on CPU versus GPU. Honestly, I didn't even know what a GPU was until I got a PC. Like I what 2018? You couldn't have really got me to explain the difference between those two. But now at least I know, like, GPU is what, at least for a PC, that's the main thing that has like the graphical processing, right? So big games, trying to render a lot, that's going to be a GPU setting. Because of the complexity of GPU serving, many systems have sprung up to try to automate this. However, managing and running these systems is also complex and generally requires compiling your model into a different form that's specialized for that system. It's typically preferable to avoid dealing with this complexity unless and until your app gets popular enough that it makes clear financial sense. For at least the initial prototype of your app and for any hobby projects, you can easily host them for free. Okay, so they said back in 2020, Binder was the best option. Turn a Git repo into a collection of interactive notebooks. Huh. Where? Excuse me. Where is their Hmm. Docs, code. 3 days ago. Oh. Okay, so I'm not like really good with Docker in particular or anything like that, but um now Docker is on my mind because I have wanted to get a little bit more, a little bit better with like understanding containerization, because I have used containerization as a software engineer, but it's like I worked on teams where we had SREs and infra, and we even had tools teams. So in those cases, like I had to, like, our applications were running in Docker containers. I had to like spin up containers and stuff, but I never had to orchestrate or set up any of that work. So um I'm a little bit lacking in knowledge there. But earlier when we were on the Train X show, we were talking about that and the idea of abstracting away a like a model deployment into a Docker container. All right. So that's on my radar. So to publish, but this is based off of the fact that we have our this is the project converts your code base into a notebook, right? So that's based off the fact that we wrote our we wrote the deployment code here in a notebook, at least for this example. But I still think Hugging Face Spaces is my preference right now. But that's good to know. Um, Before I get to this, I do want to write a comparison chart for CPU versus GPU. Okay, so CPU, or I would say CPU. More market competition. So that makes it cheaper. In that case, GPU is complex. GPU inference is complex. And then GPU is best for, what did it say? Ouch. It's best for doing work in parallel, doing identical work in parallel. Um, there's a lot more. I got this part. Queuing. Q U. All right, the whole entire word QUE, QUEUE, then ing. That seems so weird to write. Um, and then for the CPU, I'll just say it can handle um, individual inference actions. I don't know how else to describe it. But basically, I say with a CPU, there's more market competition, so that makes them cheaper options. And in most cases, the CPU can handle like an individual inference in comparison to with a GPU. It's not going to be really cost effective unless you have like a large if you have a large load of inferences that you have to do all at once, and you can batch them. But it's also the process of managing the model inference via GPU is complex, including having to be very particular about your memory management and also being very intentional to make sure that you are that your queue is processing your items in batches. Those are the notes I have for this section. And I already feel like I sound a little bit smarter, right? Oh, I didn't write this part. Managing GPU serving is complex and requires you to compile your model to a different form, or to a specialized form actually. GPU. This is giving me hardcore like it's giving me hardcore like I don't know, there's like this concept that I feel like you end up where you think the quote unquote better, fancier option is better because it's a like just because inherently okay it's higher quality, so it should be better. But realistically, so this is the example I use, like if I want to upgrade my microphone, right, I'm gonna be like, oh, I want the microphone that costs like 4 times as much as this microphone. Then I'm not going to realize that the microphone that costs 4 times as much is actually way more complicated to manage and requires a lot more hardware to manage, right? So I have that same mindset when it comes to like how they're describing the whole GPU thing. Like you might think it makes sense, especially even if you have the resources to just go with serving your model over GPU, if you don't recognize that it's actually counterproductive. So while it might, yes, technically be, I don't know, I feel like in the PC world, a lot of times it's kind of like the GPU is like the high ticket item. But just because it's the high ticket item does not mean it's the best option to choose. So that's kind of, maybe that'll help me make a better mental connection to it. All right, so for at least the initial prototype of your application and for any hobby, oh, I read this part, right? Yep, so feel good about that. First time, this is all about Bender or Binder. I think it's Binder because it was like my binder. People don't have binders no more these days, but I do. I'm a nerd, so I have binders still. I have brand new binders too. I went school shopping because I'm for real. I'm starting back to school. Well, I have these weird notebook binders. Let me see. Okay, behind the scenes is finding a virtual machine that you can run your app, allocating storage, collecting the files needed, and presenting your notebook as a web app. Finally, once it has started the app running, it will navigate your browser to the new web app. Then you can share the URL you copied to allow others to access your app as well. Similar. Once it starts the app running, it navigates your browser to the new app, and then you can share that URL. Oh, but Binder is deploying it though. Like, yeah, it's deploying it. It's not like a local copy of it. So they say basically it can be difficult to deploy a model directly to smaller edge devices and mobile devices. And you might still have to do stuff that's platform specific. So when it is possible, it's good to deploy your model, actually deploy the actual model itself to the server, and then you can just use it as a web service. So hence the API option. All right. There are quite a few upsides to this approach. Yeah, installation is easier. Just need a GUI. Upgrades of core login can happen on your server rather than in your app. Your server will have a lot more memory and processing capacity. And yeah, and it's easier to scale those resources. The hardware that you will have on the server is also going to be more standard and more easily supported. But the downsides are your application will require a network connection and there will be some latency each time the model is called. It says it takes a while for a neural network model to run anyway, so this additional network latency may not make a big difference for your users in practice. In fact, since you can use better hardware on the server, the overall latency may be even less than if it were running locally. Also, if your application uses sensitive data, then your users may be concerned about an approach which sends that data to a remote server. So sometimes privacy considerations will mean you need to run the model on the edge device. It may be possible to avoid this by having an on-premise server. Yeah, okay. Managing the complexity and scaling the server can create additional overhead too, whereas if your model runs on the edge devices, then each user is bringing their own compute resources. So that's easier for the horizontal scaling. So, considerations. Okay, let's read the aside. Preacher, welcome, welcome. I'm doing good. How are you doing? What's your current project at the moment? Doing research. What's like high level? What's the research process like for you? That's probably like the most generic question I could possibly ask, but I feel like I don't know a more specific question to ask. Like, do you have a normal process that you go about, or like certain topic that you kind of focus on, or I don't know how do you do that? That's a big question. Oh, and I was gonna say too, Preacher, it would be if you would be interested in it. I think we had talked about if you would be interested in coming on like the Hacking with the Homie show or Train Next or even both. Um, but yeah, yes, down for all interviews. Okay, perfect. Because it would be nice if you want to talk about anything that's like the research or the specific area that you are, like your topic of interest. Because yeah, we're trying to learn, and I think everybody's trying to learn. So, but the question was, sure enough, got stuff to talk about. Yeah, but the question was like, how do you shape your research process? Because you're just like, oh, I'm doing research, but like, what does that mean? Yeah, so this is interesting because they are calling out the fact that more and more, and I was thinking about this too because they talked about this in the Google keynote, but more and more our actual, mobile devices are being equipped with some type of ML hardware, and um, the main platforms that we use for deploying mobile apps, those tools are supporting more on machine, not on device machine learning. So I don't do much with with mobile stuff right now, but it's still interesting to think about. So research is a mix of looking at code, reading articles, YouTube videos, trying to translate things from one domain to another, reading books and past notes. How do you organize your information, or like compile it? I don't know. Oh, they said, congratulations. Now let's think about what could go wrong. That's totally fair, though. That's totally fair because there's a lot of things that we have to be conscious and aware of with AI, um, from the technical side to the ethical side. So, um, oh, here, let me. I'll take the break. I'll take the break. I skip the breaks a lot, so I'll accept the break today. I never really know what to do with my breaks, so it's so awkward. um, I did notice though, y'all. I was looking into this to see if there was some updates. I wish I could zoom in on this, but this is May. This top row up here, I had to double check. I had to double check. Mind you, what I probably put this page on here a few weeks ago. I don't know. Probably a few weeks ago, right? This is all May stuff on this top row. You probably can't even see it that well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 models. And then there is a new data set. The one that had popped out to me when I was looking at it was the Star Coder model. The state of the art LLM for code. So, and then I saw when I clicked on it that a bunch of this stuff is hosted on Hugging Face. The model card link is here. Oh, I can navigate through here. Is that gonna work? I don't know if I wasn't expecting that to actually try to navigate. Okay, wait. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I was looking at it on Hugging Face earlier. Let's just do this. Open. So yeah, let's zoom in. I oh, Palm is Google, right? Palm 2 is the model that most of their current tooling is built on. But the new model, what they call the new model? Gemini. Where's my notes? Open. Here it is. Some things from Trello. No, from Trello to Miro, Google Sheets, Docs. Yeah, but like you got one central. What's the central source? Or do you have to like kind of bring up all that at the same time? Do you compile stuff in like a doc or something like that? Or sheets? YouTube playlist galore. Are your playlists public or private? Because that's another question. Okay, just a mix of sheets in the doc. I do try software. I do explore software as far as like note gathering and stuff. Private, public, and unlisted. But yeah, some of if you have lists that you don't mind, that are public, those would be interesting. Like I only have one personal list right now, which is nothing too deep, but this is like the first list that I've been starting. That's the one I have. Where is it? My transformer list. That's not that many videos, right? But I'm just like, okay, I do like a lot of YouTube stuff. I do have a lot of personal lists, but YouTube lists, and then I'm super micro managey about my YouTube stuff. So like all of my tech stuff is only on this profile, and yes, I have multiple profiles on YouTube. So all of my coding stuff is all in one place. But then I like Notion, and Notion is coming. I'm coming around to Notion. There's one other tool I think it's like more so designed for like learning and like kind of the loose term research, right? I gotta think of what the name of it is. Multiple accounts. Yeah, I do the multiple account stuff too. Even though like for the most part, I only have like some default accounts. But I don't know. You might be talking about a little bit more extreme. I have like my tech stuff, and then sometimes I have like a personal one, or it just depends on what platform it is. If I even bother to have more than one account, because I probably only do one thing on there. Like I don't have my TikTok is like for TikTok, it's like everything is tech, so it's fine. Instagram, technically have multiple Instagram accounts. One is like, but like it's very segmented. But then I don't even use my personal Instagram account anymore. I just use like my tech one, and I have one that's like more of an educational one. So anything that I'm using that's like, that I would probably be doing research or like AI ML related stuff would be always under MetaDev Girl. Python list that has a world clone. Wait, what? Oh, Wordle? Wait, why was that? Why was that so hard for me to process when I love Wordle? But yeah, this transformer list, it will continue to get longer for sure. But I have been.
It's not those transformers, but they can do some pretty.
Occasion. Oh, it says updated 3 days ago. See, I put stuff on this list. This is very specific though to transformers because I'm just learning. I was gonna say Notion alternatives for research. I just know I'm one of those people where it's like if I don't have it all kind of lined up for me, I lose track of stuff because I be saving stuff everywhere. Obsidian, that's the one I'm thinking about. I haven't tried this one before. Obsidian. Not that obsidian. This obsidian. Cause they like it's like a graph, like a knowledge graph type situation going on. So you can like link stuff together. It's definitely not Notion, but I might explore this for like more of like a note taking type situation. Um, because I already feel myself having like diverging thought processes. And Notion is more linear, I feel like. I guess I'm doing that. Did it copy? Oh, there it is. Let's hope that I don't kill my stream performance with this, like non-linear stuff. Yeah. Create a new vault. Open folder as a vault. Oh, and then mark down files. Okay. And then open a vault from sync. Can I, what's a quick start? Make it simple for me. Make it simple for me. Create a new file. Am I writing in Markdown? Graph view. New canvas. Oh, daily notes. Okay, that's helpful. Did I just lose my music? What's up? Oh, that was that one. Okay, well, let's listen to this one. I kind of liked that last playlist. Joplin. Hmm. Free your notes. Absolutely. Free the notes, man. What the heck? This is my, oh, they have multimedia notes. Okay, okay, okay. This is like one of my biggest struggles in life right now. Because I mean I still am such like a analog person. Like I do physically take notes, but also, you know, it's just easier to gather and organize and archive things through the digital process. And being able to take notes really quickly is nice as well. So we'll see. Let's explore some stuff. If you end up getting something that makes sense working for you in Joplin, I would be curious to hear about it. I'm going to probably experiment with Obsidian a little bit. I wonder, maybe it will be, I'm just thinking about my process, right? Like, because I have been trying to figure this out, the analog and um, digital balance. I might try this approach first because I usually like taking my notes physically initially. And then I think what I'm going to start doing is from my physical notes, then I will probably do a digital like transcription, so to speak. Not like they don't have to be the exact same, but that's when I would kind of review my notes and also convert them to some type of like outline format or something like that and see how I like that flow. And then I can review from digital. Um, yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. I have a lot of OneNote stuff. Yeah, I have a lot of Google, not Google. I have a lot of Apple Notes, but then sometimes I don't be having like enough cloud space, and then I go back and forth on whether I pay iCloud for extra iCloud storage all the time now, just because I have so much stuff. But it's very convenient. Now I have played around with the idea that I would, do like digital notes, but with like my iPad or something. But the thing about that is, no matter how hard I try, I literally always end up with like not being able to use it. Either either it's dead when I'm trying to use it, or like right now it's out of commission because I spilled coffee in my brand new iPad. Yeah, so I gotta go get it looked at because I think I shorted out the charging port. So that's why nothing is ever gonna beat like hardcore notes. I mean, not hardcore, but like hard handwritten notes. It's not easy to search through handwritten notes though. Love whiteboards, heck yeah. I wish I had space for a big whiteboard right now. All right, so I'll probably play around with Obsidian. So I probably have to leave myself a note with that, right? It's all a process. I'm more than happy to iterate on my process though, so nothing has to ever be perfect. All right. It like sounds like I'm breathing into my microphone. But it's really just, I think it's supposed to be like the sound of wind blowing or something. I don't know. On this song, it's called Sunday Stroll. All right. So we out of here, and Yeah, so I did I came here and I didn't even do anything, but the star coder, my freaking eyeball hurts. This is the star coder resources. So there's a blog which is actually posted here on Hugging Face. So that's the blog, and then the paper is, wait, oh no, the paper is on the model card. Pretty sure. Did I make that up? um, Wait, when I was looking at it earlier and I was navigating through stuff, this is the one I was on at first. So they do have all their links and everything. Now, where was I at? Was I on Hugging Face earlier? Oh, go back. They have the references up here too. You gonna try Obsidian? Okay, okay. I heard about Obsidian because of a process called like having a second brain, which is like literally, you know, your backup, where you save everything and anything that you think about pretty much. And then it was kind of this explanation where it was like some, you know, like certain tools were more suited to a certain type of mindset or a certain type of you know, use case. So I never felt the need to use Obsidian before, but now I feel like it could be a lot more beneficial. Heard about it from a streamer. Yeah, okay. So I don't think I would stop using Notion, you know, but like Notion to me is really nice for like more project management type of task management and like general information. But I feel like Obsidian will be nice for me to like really kind of gather my thoughts and create like a knowledge base of things that I'm learning, trying, exploring, and whatnot, and being able to tie them all together. It was one other thing I was about to show. Was it on here? It was some. Where was I looking at this earlier? Where they had a page that was like models of the day. If I go here, or it wasn't models of the day, it was papers of the day. Oh, daily papers, here it is. Yeah, so it's so interesting because this site has so much stuff on it. Like, it really is a good hub of information. So I was just kind of clicking through here and seeing what was out recently. So the last 3 pages have all been within 2 days. Then I wonder how are they compiling that page? We're gonna have to get something from the Hug and Face store soon. Blog learn. A dad hat, definitely, because obviously this is what I do with my life every single day. Maybe a hoodie. All right, that was enough break time. Let's do one more round. All right, so I'm not even supposed to be here. All right, so we don't need to reconnect. Okay, so this, whatever this is, whether it's a book or like, yes, a full book, definitely gonna probably dig into this later on. Or I wonder if they have we might have something newer now because this one's from 2020. O'Reilly, stop it. Okay. I do want to, let me see. So, building machine learning power applications. I thought there was a way. See, they always be getting me. Oh, they let, it's just a PDF. Okay. I was gonna say, because I hate, they're like, a lot of times they're like, oh, you want to read this? Give us your email. It's like, y'all got my email. Y'all got every single email that I have. Like, I'm not, just give me the freaking paper so I can read it. That's a little article. Oh yeah, this is what I want to see. The like explore courses. But I thought there was a way I can see the catalog. Let's just do this. Sheesh. Alright. I really just want to see what's available. And I hope that was the right password. All right, I'll come back to that. It's taking longer than it needs to. Okay, so out of domain data, and this is like potential issues. Okay. Okay, so you have out of domain data and then you have domain shift, where the type of data that our model sees changes over time. Okay. All right, so we have a process or an approach to at least trying to mitigate as many of risks risks as you can. Um, I mean, we're specifically talking about the idea of like out of domain data or domain shift. So out of domain data being like the data that your model sees in reality in production is different than, or deviates a bit from the data that is used to train it, or domain shift where the model sees different data over time to the point where eventually some of the data that you originally trained your model with could be pretty much obsolete, which would make your model obsolete. So you have this first layer where you have a manual process, and the main ideas here are to run model in parallel, and then humans check all predictions. So, full on human interaction. So, more so, you can use the model as an indicator that something needs to happen, but you can still make sure that it is a person that, checks in and follows up on it one way or another, not just letting the model, willy nilly make any risky choices. And then you have limited scope deployment as the next layer. So that includes careful human supervision. Again, you're still keeping an eye on what the predictions look like, um, but maybe a little bit more confidence. There's a little bit more confidence in the model now. And then time or geography limited. So instead of doing a full deployment, limited to, a certain area, a certain region, a certain group of users, or whatever the case may be. Then gradual expansion, where you need to have good reporting systems in place and considering what could go wrong. So, yeah, the first step is an entirely manual process with the deep learning model running in parallel but not being used directly to drive actions. So, humans should be manually checking whether the outputs make sense. And the second step, limiting the scope of the model, letting it be supervised by people. You can do like a trial run of deploying the app or deploying the model. And then have continue to have human interaction or human oversight on all of the predictions. Then you can gradually expand the deployment. And I mean, realistically, I don't know, this seems very similar to the same process that I'm used to following when it comes to any type of high risk or high, like I feel like if you have any type of high risk system, even if it's not AI based, you still have this type of mindset, right? Yeah, the huge emphasis on the reporting and considering what could go wrong, because that's one thing I learned when I worked on like a really massive system that also like downtime was extremely expensive. I'll say that. Because in that world where downtime is like costing the organization like tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars per, second, minute, hour, reporting, alerting, monitoring, all of that is like it is a part of the process. Like, we weren't deploying systems without coming up with exactly how we will be alerted, and a lot of times even being over alerted rather than being under alerted. But I think one thing that's different is it can be interesting, at least from what I've gathered so far, that it can be a little bit interesting trying to do alerting and monitoring on model deployments compared to how we do it traditionally with software. Because again, in software, you have a programmatic way of being able to look at different outcomes, and you can predict, not predict, but you know what the different behaviors of your system are, or at the very least, you know mostly how your system should behave, and what you do want to happen anyways. So it's easier to classify, like, whenever your system is deviating from the proper behavior. But with a model, you can't predict the behavior of the model necessarily, because it's all being learned through training. So um, I'll be curious to learn more about this aspect when it comes to, just like model deployments in production and long term maintenance of them. Then I was gonna say too, um, at some point I have heard of some different tools that are trying to combat these types of issues, because you know I think that what I've heard, people are kind of at a point now where it's like, companies and organizations are starting to have models in deployment, and just recognizing that it's not necessarily ideal to try to pigeonhole the machine learning life cycle, and the needs of the, like, machine learning development process into what we created for traditional, like, software development life cycle. So for example, there is a platform called Weights and Biases, which we found out about Weights and Biases on the stream back in, probably, I can't remember if it was February or March. Hell, it could have been April, I don't know. But a few months ago, um, we watched it was like a little mini conference that was hosted by Weights and Biases. It was called Fully Connected. But Weights and Biases has a platform. Wait. They have like a developer, a ML ops platform. So it's not just like the training, but it's things like how you could version your model, and um, things of that nature. So as we go along, I'll just be kind of expanding my trying to expand my understanding of, like, the whole picture, not just the models themselves. So when it comes to bias, if you have like presence of bias in your system, the feedback loops that result from that actually makes the system worse and worse. This is a paper I am interested in. To predict and serve, predictive policing systems are used increasingly by law enforcement to try to prevent crime before it occurs. But what happens when these systems are trained using biased data? Christian Lum and William Isaac consider the evidence and the social consequences. And it sounds like basically the one of the main things they essentially found is, how did they put it? Predictive policing is aptly named. It is predicting future policing, not future crime. So it's like if you think an area is going to have more crime, so you send more officers to that area, you're going to have more more reports, because you kind of like you fed officers to the area. What else are they going to do? And then that kind of feeds into the idea that, again, now that means you're going to like, now it becomes a cycle. Oh, okay, send a bunch of officers to this area. Okay, now reported crime is up in this area because we actually just have more officers in the area that can like take reports. So now that area continues to like, it kind of looks like the rates are going up, even though realistically they're probably not. And yeah, so that's the whole other world of AI, the ethics around it. And I think that's what's very interesting to me long term. Like, I want to be at a point where I can, if I can educate more people on how AI can be used like responsibly, how it can be useful to our communities and not necessarily be detrimental. I mean, hey, I'm a little black girl that grew up in Detroit, so I got to think about it that way. I have to, because that's just, I know what it's like when we don't get considered in how technology works. According to the ACLU, despite roughly equal usage rates, blacks are 3.73 times more likely than whites to be arrested for marijuana, for example. The impact of this bias, along with the rollout of predictive policing algorithms in many parts of the U.S., led Barry Williams to write in the New York Times, "The same technology that's the source of so much excitement in my career is being used in law enforcement in ways that could mean that in the coming years, my son, who is now 7, is more likely to be profiled or arrested or worse for no reason other than his race and where we live." Yeah. Helpful exercise prior to rolling out a significant machine learning system is to consider this question: what would happen if it went really well? In other words, what if the predictive power was extremely high and its ability to influence behavior was extremely significant? In that case, who would be most impacted? What would be the most extreme potential results? How would you know what was really going on? That's a good thought process, because, and even as I was reading it, I felt like they were going to say, what would happen if it went wrong, like completely wrong? That's not the question. The question is, what happens if it goes so right, quote unquote, that it actually changed our behavior or influenced our behavior? All right. Well, that is pretty much the end of the material. So, again, at the end of this chapter, it says we have to write our first article. So this is my mindset. Like they said, um, it can be most helpful to write your material down to solidify your understanding. And there is no better test of your understanding than attempting to teach it to somebody else. Um, Also, like, for me, I try to explain it as we go, explain my understanding of it anyway. But it would be good to actually sit down and write something. The top advice, okay, this is from the other co founder of Fast AI, Rachel. She said the top advice she would give her younger self is to start blogging sooner. Absolutely agree with that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on stream right now doing this and not just like doing it in, you know, in private. So here's some reasons to blog. It's like a resume, only better. It helps you learn. You can get invitations to conferences and talks and all kind of fun stuff. You can meet new people and it saves time. Anytime you answer a question multiple times through email, you should turn it into a blog post. Yeah. Then it says you are best positioned to help people one step behind you. The material is still fresh in your mind, and many experts have forgotten what it was like to be a beginner or intermediate. Yeah, that's kind of where I am in my like boot camp teaching process. Like I'm starting to lose my touch a little tiny bit with like simplifying things. So I've just been doing it for so long. I have to remind myself sometimes, like, yeah, wait, what? Those words don't exist in their vocabulary yet. So slow your roll. Blog post has been a lifesaver in terms of time. Posted an article that showed a cool case of AI for good. Okay, yeah, I'll probably have to see that AI for good blog post too. Okay, let's see how many of these questions I feel okay about. Provide an example of where the Bear classification model might work poorly in production due to structural or style differences in the training data. Okay, so let's go with that. If there is style differences, for example, all the training data for the Bears was pretty much like perfect photography based photos. All for the most part like facing the actual subject of the photo as well, even if it was just a teddy bear. But realistically, that's not like the typical way that you would necessarily be using, or that's not the type of data the model would necessarily see. um like they said, if you use this at like at a national park or something like that and you wanted to detect bears, you're not going to see them like posing for a picture. You're going to see them like moving around. You're going to be using videos instead of static images and things like that. So that's an example where the model could work poorly in production. Text models currently have a major deficiency, and that would be in hallucinations. So the models do have the tendency to like sometimes just make stuff up, and it sounds really really legit, but it's actually not. Possible negative societal implications of text generation models. I think the hallucination part is a really concerns me. in general, obviously, that helps like cause confusion and spread misinformation. Um, but also just the facts like that a lot of people might take for granted the accuracy, even if it's just, you're trying to get help from the like a text generation model. I sometimes struggle with the idea of telling beginners to like use, like chat GPT or something like that to learn how to code, because it's like, yes, it can be very right a lot of times, but it can also be very wrong a lot of times. And I feel like one of the major benefits that I have is that I have experience with code. So when I do use chat GPT or something like that to help me with my coding process, I can generally vet an idea by looking at it just to see the, like, does that even make sense, or is it kind of like off? And then there's a lot of other issues that it ends up running into as well. Like, for example, if you do have a small error in the code that the model gives you back, but if you are a beginner, it can be hard to work through the debugging process, because you're inexperienced at that point. So off my soapbox for that one. In situations where a model might make mistakes and those mistakes could be harmful, what is a good alternative to automating a process? So the alternative to automating a process would be to take a layered approach where you can start by deploying the model, but also having a human actually review all of the predictions. And the human would have the final say in the process, not the model itself. And then you can kind of slowly roll off of that. Next phase would be to um, have a human review the model, and kind of maybe deploy it. Have a predefined testing phase where you can see how accurate the model performs on a limited, scope. And then further, once you want to, deploy the model a little bit more um, at a mass scale, then you can make sure that you have the right type of like alerting and monitoring around your system, and also continuing to just think about the ways that the model could fail, and continue to have like that human interaction as a part of the process. I think that's my summary. Belle, hi, welcome. I missed you. How are you? Let's see. So that's 4 questions. Okay. What kind of tabular data is deep learning particularly good at? Hmm. What kind of tabular data? I know that I read about this, but I don't remember. Let's see. I do have notes. I guess I didn't write very much here. I just wrote something about column variety. That's what I wrote. So that's one I'll probably go back and review a little bit. It's been a while. It's been a while. Even since I've been in your stream, it's been a while. How's it going though? How are you feeling? What's a key downside of directly using a deep learning model for recommendation systems? So I did write something more legible for recommendation systems. I said that although recommendation systems are good at recommending similar items, they're not so good at recommending helpful items. So I do remember more about this one, probably because I wrote something cohesive. Um, but say if you take Amazon as an example, Amazon would be good at recommending like books that are similar, like have the same author or something like that. Things that tend to get looked at the same time. Um, Being my definition of like similar, but at the same time, like a lot of times, like maybe if I read from the same author, I probably already read all the books that they're going to recommend to me because I already read similar items. So it's not as good as like giving me um, new recommendations, things that I haven't seen before. Rough start to the year, but getting back to it, that's good. I mean, I hope that everything is rapidly improving for you because I know what that's like. But I'm doing pretty good. We're doing 100 days of code, and I am, yes, I'm still on the like powering through and convincing myself to make sure I do this every day. But I'm at that turning point where it's starting to feel normal again. Um, but I'm still so early in the process, so I'm trying not to burn myself out. But overall, things are good too. My son is gonna be one in like a couple weeks, so I have to start getting stuff together for his birthday party. He's going to have family and friends all loving on him. So uh, he's been learning how to walk, and he's like itching to climb stuff, so that's scary. That's the only scary part, like the walking and stuff. Okay, cool. But the fact that he's literally already trying to climb out of his crib, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Stop it. Mm-mm. Okay, I did that one. What are the steps of the drivetrain approach? Yeah, your girl going straight to the notes on that one. Um, but I do know that I wrote it out. Okay, the drivetrain approach. Use data to produce accountable outcomes. That's what the drivetrain approach is all about. And then we have 4 steps. So, first, define a clear objective. Second, consider actions that better achieve the objective. Third is determine what new data is needed. And then fourth is to build the model. Mm-mm-mm. No, nothing of coding. I sound like I know what I'm talking about, right? If nothing else, if nothing else. But yeah, this is my pivot right now. So of course coding and software engineering and stuff is already um, my career right now, but uh I want to be on the machine learning and AI side of things. So I am studying up and learning some new things and working on some projects. So by the time the end of this phase rolls around, I should be a lot more confident and have like a portfolio and everything built up. You sound like an expert to me. Well, it's all the course that I'm taking right now, so I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it's the perfect type of structure and layers that I would write if I was making this course. Okay, so then this is going to be our project. Create an image recognition model using data you curate and deploy it on the web. So the model that I'm going to be using, or the model that I'm going to be training, is going to be a Twitch streamer versus a YouTuber. Um, and so I'm going to somehow, curate a data set where um, you will have images of Twitch streamers, like, probably just like snapshots of streams, of live streams, and then, but specifically Twitch live streams, and then have snapshots of like YouTube videos. Um, And then so that'll be the data. We have to curate that data set 'cause I'm pretty sure that does not exist. And then we'll train an image recognition model that can hopefully distinguish between a YouTuber and a Twitch streamer, and then deploy that to the web. I think it'll be possible for sure, because visually I can think of ways that Twitch streams tend to differ from YouTube videos and vice versa. Probably some enough mixed bag in the middle type situations to make it interesting as well. What is data loaders? Okay, let's see. Because I know how we use our data loaders. I know they're data specific. So the data loaders store the data loader class that was passed to it. Data loaders makes your actual data loader itself available as a training and validation. Yeah, makes it available as a training and validation set. And oh yeah, this is the next part anyways. The 4 things you need to tell fast AI to create your data loaders is the kind of data it is, how you get a list of the items, how you label the items, and how you create the validation set. The splitter parameter is the way that you would do the 4th thing, which is create the validation set. So I think the splitter actually decided that's where you can define what percentage of your data would be used for validation. So part of it is going to be most of it is usually going to be training data, and then you could say what portion or what percentage should be validation data. That's what the splitter parameter does. And the splitter parameter also gives you the ability to have a seed value. So if you have a seed value, you keep that seed value consistent. Then whenever you do your model training, you will always have the same date, like split in your data. So you'll always have the same training set and the same validation set. That's how splitter works. How do we ensure random split gives the same validation set? I just said that. That's the seed value. What letters are often used to signify the independent and dependent variables? So X would be the independent, right? And then Y would be the dependent variables. So the output depends on the input. I feel like that's such a basic math question. I remember writing that down, but also when I just see it like that, it feels like such a basic math question that I should like have learned back in the day at some point. All right, Bill. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good night too, and a good holiday weekend. I'm gonna be done when I finish going through these questions. Where? Questions seem good. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I said the independent variables are what you make the predictions from, right? So that's X. Dependent variables are your target, which is what you're predicting, which would be why. Um, let's see. What's the difference between the crop, pad, and squish resize approaches, and why might you choose one over the other? Okay, so usually crop is going to um it resizes, but what it does is you would actually potentially, most likely, you'll lose some context out of your image, but it will maintain its aspect ratio. Um, Pad is going to also maintain the aspect ratio um, in order to match the resizing parameters, but padding is going to have a lot of dead space that you're training on because you'll, like, for example, if it pads on the sides or even if it pads across the top, you're going to have a lot of like black pixels that you don't care about. And that's like a waste of compute power. And then squish, the main downside to squish is that it changes the aspect ratio of the image. So if you use squish, then yeah, you're going to end up in situations where your data, whatever your subjects are in the photo, are not going to like align to reality, what they look like. Um, Dang it. Hold on. Hold on. This is hold on. Okay. So a centipede came out of nowhere across the wall. Then in no time, it accidentally ended up scurrying across my desk as I was trying to prepare myself. But I did get it. I don't know if I got all of it, and sometimes you gotta make sure you get all the legs. Eh, I hate that. I hate that part about this time of the year. That's the first one I've seen in a while, but the part of the city I live in, I feel like we get centipedes a lot when it gets warm outside. Um, oh my god, I hate that. Okay, I survived though. What the fuck? That mug literally came crawling across my wall. Like, what are you even doing? All right. And then it came straight across the desk, like right here where my notebook is right now. Okay, I survived, y'all. I survived. Because I'm like, I can't, like, as much as I don't want to do this, you gotta die. I'm sorry, because you can't live in my room. Like, you can't be here. You're not about to be calling on me in the middle of the night. No. And then they just get longer and bigger. It's so disgusting. I can't. I'm sorry. We all good. Look, you can't even see my lights done got knocked off, like blocked off and everything. And then I was trying to use my phone as a flashlight. This mug is dead. I don't play with no bugs, man. I don't. I don't do bugs. That's probably so stereotypical, but I don't care. I don't think I would have been able to sleep right. All right, let's get back to it. Yeah, I'm still a little, but okay. Uh, we did this one. What is data augmentation? Data augmentation is basically like I would say the best way I can describe it is making or transforming your data. Different types of ways you can transform the data. So it can be needed. I'll say, why is it needed? It can help add variety into your training data and maybe make your model a little bit more resilient, I guess you could say. Maybe not resilient, but it gives your model more exposure to different versions of the whatever the subject is, like for example with images. The difference between item transforms and batch transforms. Item transforms are applied to each individual item in a data set one at a time. Batch transforms are applied to an entire batch of items or a group of items all at the same time. Item transforms is done I would say, like, without me having the right language for this, the item transforms is more of a CPU process, and I think that actually happens earlier at a different phase in time. I know that the batch transforms are you use the GPU in particular, and that's the extent of my knowledge. What is confusion matrix? Excuse me. The confusion matrix is basically a grid or a matrix that shows the predictions made by the model versus the actual values of those particular pieces of data throughout the validation set. And what will happen is when you look at the confusion matrix, you will be able to see potential issues in where the model can be going wrong with its predictions. And that gives you some type of insight into maybe pieces of your data set that you can explore further just to see if there's issues in the data set, values that should be reclassified, or values that should be taken out altogether. Oops. Okay, so what does export save? Oh, export saves your model file. And if you use export and then you provide a string, then you can actually provide the name of your model file. Otherwise, your model will export as literally the word export, a file called export.pkl. Pretty sure export is the name. What is it called? What is it called when we use a model for getting predictions instead of training? Yeah, when you use a model to get predictions, that is called inference. Making an inference. What are IPython widgets? I think IPython widgets were like GUI widgets that allowed you to build a web UI or interface inside of Python notebooks. When might you want to use a CPU for deployment, and when might a GPU be better? CPU is probably better if you are going to, if cost matters, that's one. If you're going to be only, making individual inferences versus being able to batch your inferences, like if you don't have a lot of scale as far as simultaneous inferences, then that's going to be another case where you can use CPU. GPUs will be better if you have a huge amount of load, probably, and you can batch up your inferences so that they could be processed simultaneously. Yeah. What are the downsides of deploying your app to a server instead of to a client or edge device such as a phone or PC? Downsides for edge devices is more so the processing power. No, I'm going to start with it's the deploying part overall, right? So it's not even once using the model, but different libraries that you use may be lacking in support, so you may have to do some additional work to get the code that you have working for in an edge device. And then on top of that, you still might have to write platform specific code, because that's just kind of the nature of the mobile world anyway. Unless you use some type of special tool or special framework, then you pretty much have to make platform specific changes depending on which type of device it is. What else? I don't think I wrote any notes about maybe I did. Let me see. I said for edge and mobile devices, model deployment and integration via web service work best versus dealing with gaps in tooling and needing platform specific code. So yeah, that's the two, the gaps in tooling and the platform specific code. What are 3 examples of problems that could occur when rolling out a bear warning system in practice? 3 examples of problems. The model could be slow. The inference process could be slow. Too slow to be practical. Then you can have out of domain data, right? So you could have cases where basically your training data is a little perfect in how it portrays bears versus what is going to be seen in reality, and that can cause issues. What's a third problem? The safety of that process overall is definitely a problem as well. I'm trying to think about what would be a problem in regards to the actual model. Let me see. Did I write anything else? That's kind of what I have for now. Out of domain data is going to be whenever you have like the training data is not representative of what the model is going to see in production. And then domain shift is when your data, your model sees data that changes over time, and some of the older data in your system eventually becoming obsolete. Um, what are the 3 steps in the deployment process? So I guess the 3 steps that we saw was taking the manual process. So run the model, but have human interaction, and then limited scope deployment, which was human supervised and maybe like time limited, geography limited, and then gradual expansion where you focus especially on the alerting and monitoring and considering things that could go wrong in the process. This is a good topic because I think drivetrain is still pretty generic to me overall. Um, so considering how it can map to an actual project or problem, when might it be best to avoid certain type of data augmentation? And then for a project you're interested in applying deep learning to, consider the thought experiment. What would happen if it went really, really well? And then fourth, start a blog and write your first blog post. For instance, write about what you think deep learning might be useful for in the domain you're interested in. So that's the end of my material for chapter 2. I feel pretty good about that though. I think I got through most of these questions fairly confidently. So I would chalk that up as a successful run through the material there. Obviously my 2 big homework pieces from this section are going to be my project, which was where is it? Okay, so here is I hate when that happens. Escape. Number 9, create an image recognition model using data you curate and deploy it on the web. That's our specific item that we're going to be working on. And then the blog. Those are the 2. So that's what I'm going to be moving into for the weekend, I guess you could say. I don't know how long that collecting my data is going to take, but if all else fails, I will literally manually screenshot whatever I need. But I should probably be able to write a little scraper or something like that. That's probably the more, ideal strategic way to go about it. And plus, I never write scrapers, so maybe it's good for me. I don't know. So let's do this. Let's go rate Nikwan. Underscore data sci. Yeah, we'll set up a rate for Nikwan, and I'll be back later today, y'all. / tomorrow, however you want to look at it, for day 19. I'm going to be working on my blog and also working on the image recognition project. So I hope it won't take me too long. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. The main thing is just getting the data, probably for the most part. So I might even start out by doing some manual data collection, and then from there automate, because I'm not trying to take forever on it necessarily, but I am trying to get that experience. So we shall see. But in the meantime, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you as always. I will see everybody tomorrow.